don't panic. Dave is here. He just turned up and he froze. Like he does. Though, I thought being in Devon and Cornwall, hang on, am I going to sneeze? Stick your finger in your eye and it's fine. Stop sneezing. Just had a message from Nick Downing. He is just watching the rugby on Amazon. Right, he's going to join us at 4:40. That's Nick Downing. I'm not going to tell you what the score was or anything because people might have recorded it or whatever. But England match. Proud to be England. So welcome everyone. Thanks. Really good to see you. And Dave he was with me and then he just went. So then he's gone out. Oh, there he is. Right, he's changed. Shall I bring him on? Yeah, let's bring him on. Hello, buddy. How are you? Are you with us? Calling deck. See, this is what it is. You see, he's just frozen. He's Fenn's toy supplier. Glad we know that's a dog. That's all I'll say. So anyway, he's trying.
I'm very trying.
Oh, there you go, mate. You've come back with it. I thought Devon had a reputation of being poor with technology and all that. I have got super duper. Just check. I've got 230 Mbps or whatever that means.
Blimey.
Are you still on 4G? His Wi-Fi's so rubbish, he goes on to the 4G. There he goes. He's frozen. What I suggest, Dave, you do is you talk very quickly for about 4 seconds because you'll freeze after that. We have got Nick Downing, who is going to be coming on shortly. He was an assistant chief constable. And if you're into Twitter, you'll probably know him. If you follow policing at all and you're onto Twitter, that's not a good look, Dave. And you will know him. He is incredibly. Do you know what he was? You could tell when someone's got a bit of humanity about them when they give a shit. I can say that. Dave can't. And I think it's a really... You're right, Dave. You're back with us. He's back in the room.
Why?
He just tries a different room every time. He's frozen again. Are your 12 children and your 2 wives all on Wi-Fi at the moment? Is that what's happening, Dave? Why is it so different?
Gone again.
Tell your neighbours down the road to switch their Wi-Fi off because you need it.
Are you sure you haven't got anything on upstairs? I'm with you for a second.
This is where I want to witness a live domestic occurrence.
Yeah. We nearly had one before we came live. I'm running around the house trying to find a room where it works. And Deborah was like, you should have done this before.
Have you gone for height? Are you upstairs?
No, that would be even worse upstairs. In fact, I'd probably be better up the garden in the shed. And Demma's thinking, yeah, you would be much better up the garden in the shed.
Dude, hang on a minute. She can put the working dogs in the sheds, but she can't put the husband as well, I don't think.
Oh, no, she'd put the husband in the shed before the working dogs.
Yeah, no, really, I get that, mate. Mate, we wanted to talk about this, didn't we? Right? This is what we wanted to talk about.
We need to talk about this.
Yes. And there's a few things I wanted, but just look, everyone, this is the Matt Ratana is obviously the police sergeant, custody sergeant, who was murdered and shot in custody. And I think we've just learned since what an absolute star. He's a Kiwi, New Zealander, and he did an awful lot for youth rugby. And then he was actually the coach for the main. Not just the kids, is it? It's the main rugby team, I think it was. Yeah, it was. He was. Yeah. And so now, amazing. Dave, can you remind me? I have got the thing you gave me, the amount. I mean, they are stylish shirts. I like them. I've got one.
The last update I saw was they were up to £80,000 and they hope to be up to 100,000 by tomorrow. So I think they're going to smash that. But, if it goes beyond that, then I think everybody would be really happy.
It is, isn't it? Now, this is the actual advert they put. I'm just highlighting that one, so excuse for the production team.
Mine's on order. Yours is on order, isn't it?
Yeah, I've got mine's on order as well. And there's other stuff. You can see the stuff you can get, and it's Nothing Memory of Matt Ratana, and it is the Rugby Foundation. And if you actually see as the 4, I think a lot of people are actually taking photographs of themselves with the number 4 up, because those are the 4 points. You donate, and basically you can pay for the shirt what you want, but there's sort of a minimum recommendation price. So for the rugby shirt, for example, it's £39, but you can donate more than that. But they're really good quality. They look really stylish. I like them because there's not many rugby shirts I sort of go for, but I must admit. So yeah, those are the 4 things that you can do, and it's all about spreading the word and doing that side of things. So I'm looking forward to mine. I'll be wearing mine next week, that's for sure.
Yeah,
this was the guy who got a lot of flack. A lot of flack, but he got some flack for putting on a few weight during COVID. And Nick Knowles, our very good friend, isn't he, Dave? We speak a lot to Nick.
Yeah.
And he put this on. So there's proof. He's lost that weight when he did the DIY SOS in Wales, which I thought was absolutely brilliant. So yeah, he's certainly lost that. So he's looking good. That's what made me think, oh, I'm going to get a shirt. So yeah. And I think the women's shirts are nice as well. You know.
Yeah, they look lovely. They've got a little bit of pink trim on them. Yeah. I'm looking forward to mine coming. Harry, there's a couple of people saying that you're just a little bit crackly, and I can hear a little crackle from you as well.
Right. Okay. I'll change my audio, mate, and let's go for this. Hang on a minute.
But yeah, as I say, they were up to 80,000 earlier. They hope to get to 100. Hopefully, they'll smash that 100 to pieces and just keep going, because it's it's an incredible. From something so tragic, it would be lovely to get something really positive.
Yeah, exactly. That is really positive. I think is that better, or what's it like? That much. I've just taken. See, look, there you go. I take that mic off. I did my audio book with that, and it's now for some reason on here. I don't know if it's too much electronic stuff, but it's recently I've been getting that. So I'm just using the laptop one now. Mate, how are you?
I'm very good, mate. Yeah, very good. I'll see if we can show people Finn. There he is.
Ah, look. Oh, he looks so cute. How can that strike fear into anyone, Dave?
Yeah, I know. He's very fierce. He still has his moments where he has a pop at people, especially if he's in the van. If he's in the van, that's it. He's like,
he just looks like a cute puppy now, mate. That's all he does. Look, he hasn't got an aggressive bone in his body.
Well, I don't know.
Unless you switch him.
If someone tries to mess with his peanut butter toast, he will.
Unless you switch him on, basically, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it, mate. Yeah, he's wonderful, bless him. Did you see that Finn's Law was sadly used again?
I didn't, mate.
PD Stark, police dog Stark, and his handler offended a dog, and
I see what you mean now. Yes, I do.
I won't go into details, obviously, but he was charged with Finn's Law and a number of other offences. So, although obviously we hoped it would never be used, but we knew it would. So it's great to see it being used.
Yeah, there was some really nasty scarring on the dogs. I decided not to just put it up on it because sometimes it really. I mean, my wife, for example, she's more than happy to see injuries on people, but animals, no chance. So it really plays on her mind. So I'm a bit cautious about what I put up. But yeah, horrendous injuries, just like with Finn, really, around his head and things. But really making a good recovery, isn't he?
Yeah. PDSA were there. I've spoken to his handler a number of times. We're trying to turn it into a positive and do some fundraising for PDSA and his local retired police dog charity, the West Midlands Benevolent Fund. But yeah, he was a very lucky boy. By all accounts, he was incredibly lucky. It was a big old machete, and he was bashed around the head with it, but missed his eye, thank goodness, because that could have been a life changer.
Oh, goodness, yeah.
Didn't get any vital organs or anything like that, so he's done very well. And the PDSA were absolutely wonderful. Anybody who doesn't know the PDSA, go and look them up. They are absolutely an incredible charity. So yeah, they're doing very well. They've asked us to pass on that they're both doing very well.
Yeah, I mean, there's. I see Nick's just come into the green room. He's cracking open the Beaujolais already, or whatever it's called. He's gone for the expensive stuff, I see.
Yeah, well.
Donna, you're the same as my wife. It really plays on her mind, and she can't sleep sometimes when she sees animals that have been injured and things. It's just that affects. Whereas children, people, fine, no problem. So, that's how we are. But now, Nick Downing. So I was just explaining when you were freezing and stuff and running around the house shouting at the kids, Dave. But Nick's quite a man, because I've known him for several years, and I've had a chat with him, and we said we need to meet up for a beer and things. And it's always a bit weird, isn't it? Because you get some people who are just really some dead career-minded people, and yet there's some people who reach the tops and they are absolutely show all their humanity. And it was only really speaking to him recently that you suddenly sort of realise why, because he's had a fascinating life and not the usual route that Assistant Chief Constable would take. He retired from ACC, retired from policing. He was in the Met and he was in Kent, and he was doing an interesting job since there for 11 months until COVID struck and things. So I think we'll do no more than to bring him on. Shall we just bring him on and see what the man's got to say? He's certainly... before Nick, you can hear me, but I won't give the result of the rugby just in case somebody is actually watching. Is going to look at it afterwards.
I need to speak to you.
Yay! Right, Nick. How are you, Nick? How are you?
All right, thanks.
You're looking rugged. You're looking good. He's all right, Nick.
I had to have a workout before I came on just to make sure, I left a good impression.
This is it. That's what Dave and I always do.
Firearms boy. He's the only one who's impressed by muscles.
Well, I did say this to Harry yesterday. To actually be on here with a dog handler and a traffic cop is a bit surreal for a detective.
Yeah, I know. And then I said something like, "Oh yeah, that's true. I forgot you were a detective. So maybe I should think twice about bringing you on here." But you started, right. So let's see. I've forgotten, I must admit, where you started it all off. Where were you born and brought up?
So I was born in Nottingham, but brought up in Devon. So out a little village called Horrobridge, right out on the moors near Tavistock, for anyone who knows. I know you know that, Harry. Beautiful part of the country. I've done all the walks across Dartmoor, and now I absolutely hate camping. Can't stand it now.
And that is strange, because I was brought up doing all that, and I just literally went wild camping a couple of weeks ago and what, because I'm not entirely convinced the last time. I'm just going to bring a photo up here. What put you off it?
What put me off it? The bed. As I get older, I like my creature comforts, and and a man of a certain age has to get up during the night sometimes. So leaving a tent.
But that's the best bit. You put your bare feet into your wet boots, you stand in your underpants outside of the tent, having a wee, and then you look up and you see the stars as bright as you like, and you've never seen them before because there's no light pollution. And I look to my side and there's Arthur having a pee next to me. And, and Arthur's the dog, everyone who doesn't know. Oh, but that's just amazing. But yeah, it does take a bit of courage, doesn't it, to do that bit?
Yeah, but it's not for me. A nice hotel, if I can, then more than happy. A bit of glamping, I don't mind that. In a yurt, I'll do that.
That's all right. Where's this one, mate? Where's this photo?
So this is at Snowdon. So I'm the one just outside of the picture now. You can just see me.
Is that right? I assumed that was you. You with the rosy cheeks.
I'm the one, blonde hair. I have to show. I showed my kids that picture, and they didn't believe it was me because of the blonde hair there. And this is on one of the ridges at Snowdon. So back in 1989, when I was about 20, I was 18, 19 then.
So how the hell did you get from a little village in Devon to the Met and climbing up the ranks up initially in the Met, weren't you? You know, what happened there? What made you go for that?
So what made me go for the Met? So having left
policing.
School. Yeah, so having left school, I had one O level in English literature and a CSE grade 1, which I'm really proud of, in geography. So my options weren't forthcoming. I was very outward boundsy, reasonably fit. So I went and did a public services course. It was called a pre-services course at the Plymouth College of Further Education. A great establishment, just at the bottom of Union Street, another wonderful place in Plymouth. And I did a 2-year pre-services course, got another couple of O levels. And then I saw this advert, join the elite, the Met Police Cadets. And I thought, wow, I've got to give that a go. And somehow
that was a lie from the start, wasn't it, Dave? But anyway.
Well,
really, exactly.
You guys, eh? You know, so I went for it and I got it. And I always remember, because I had to do the entrance exam. So at Crown Hill Police Station, back again in Plymouth. And I also had to have my height and weight done at Charles Cross Police Station in Plymouth. And the crusty old skipper there, it wasn't you, Harry, this is before your time. The skipper goes, why are you doing that, son? Why are you leaving us to go there? And it was basically Devon and Cornwall at that time didn't have cadets.
Right.
No.
So, my options were I was either going to go down the policing route or I was going to go into the military. And being a softie, I went for the policing route. So
back then, that you got accommodation and you got paid. Is that right?
Yeah. So 12 months living at Hendon, the old Hendon Training Centre, which was amazing. £250 a month. It went one place and one place only, which was at the local pub, the White Bear in Hendon. A great place, and on Domino's Pizza.
Following tradition of many decades, no less, no doubt.
Absolutely. So, and in that year, you did community placements, you did the outward bound, your fitness. There was so much that you did in that year, and they said they turn young teenagers, or 18, 19, into men. Well, it taught me a lot of things. That's what I would say. In that time, and that's me ready for my passing out. So, they were the days.
What was he? Because Mike Panic went to obviously this as well, didn't he? And he describes it. And I initially applied for the Met. I was working in London, and I said, "Well, I live." And they were only, funny enough, it's very relevant. But they said they were only accepting people from London at the time. So I couldn't go, and I thought, and that was the first lesson to me, because I thought, oh, that's it, my whole policing career is over now. Because Devon and Cornwall, they were looking for quite mature people, and that's certainly not what I wasn't. And I could do one better than you. I had a CSE grade 3 in French, my friend. So I was able to tell you anything in French as long as there was a cat under the table. But I'm waiting still to use that phrase. But that's it. You started off with next to no qualifications, didn't you?
Yeah, but what I've always said is through hard work and determination, commitment, you can achieve anything you want.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. I worked hard in whatever I did throughout my career, and then I took the opportunities when they arose. But I didn't join the police with aspirations that I was ever going to be a assistant chief constable. And I remember, so I started off in West Ham. So I did two years, my probation period there. And I sat down with my inspector then in my probation, and having that conversation. He said, "What do you want to be, son? In your career?" And I said, "Well, I'd like to be an inspector." by the time I retire. I thought that's a good aspiration. He goes, have you got a degree? And I said, well, no. You know, he goes, well, you might as well forget about that.
No.
Yeah.
And you know what?
Even back then.
And it's you see, no one can ever tell you not to do something. The only people who decide are you.
Yeah.
You choose your own destiny. You take control.
Yeah.
And we have all these processes and what have you, but it's how hard you work in your commitment and doing it for the right reasons as well, which I can give you examples of that later on as we talk.
Did you I mean, so you ended up being head of proceeds of crime, all right, detective superintendent, say at this stage in the Met, right, which is, I think, a really cool job, because that's what the public think that is the best. That's the Robin Hood. That is getting all the stuff from the bad people and giving it to the good people again, you know? But did you find, well, first of all, before you tell us about that job and then the others you did in the Met, did you find that it would have been easier if you'd done a degree, or did you do a degree once you were in the police, which a lot of people did in Devon and Cornwall, I know, in order to progress their career? Because I remember that being told to all of us pretty much, you know, if you haven't got a degree, forget it. But how did you find that? So
I think it's, over the years, I developed what people call imposter syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
So, when people talk to you, and I've had this in various ranks, and I've been assessing at the College of Police, and I've done all this, and you sit there and have a chat with people, and all they're doing is almost getting their degree scroll out and talking about it. And then you start thinking, well, hang on, but I haven't got one. And I got to the point in those early days, I wouldn't say anything because you felt so, you almost made to feel stupid, and then I got to the point where actually when people were saying and talking about it, you're saying, well, I haven't got a degree, what about that, and that actually brought people to a different position, because you don't need a degree to succeed.
No.
Do I want my children to go off and get a degree? Yeah, I'd love them to, and I'd be really proud. But also, if they choose they don't want to do that, then I'll support them in whatever they do, because that's how they're going to achieve. I
mean, look at the message someone's written.
I'm not, people who have degrees, great. I'm not someone who's against someone having a degree or degree. I'm not. But I look at me, I would never have joined, and I think I've achieved some great things in policing, but I've been me and worked hard.
I think there's two routes, isn't there? You can go down the academic line, or you can go down the practical line and learn as you go.
You can.
Scotty Bateman, there you go. There's a good example.
I mean, phenomenal career Scotty's had in the RAF. Should we really annoy him and say he's in the Navy and he'll kick off big stuff? Oh my God, he can't say anything.
He can't say anything. Oh, no. That's a shame. We could have so much fun here.
To be fair, I can't believe we haven't started on the detective jokes yet, but I'm sure we'll get there.
No.
Right. You can go, can't you? And that's what makes the world balanced. I know some people who are incredibly well educated, but they couldn't do my job. And there's the old saying as well, isn't there? Those that can do and those that can't teach.
Yeah, it's true. But isn't that the message? People writing here now, and Donna's saying our team ethos here is never give up on something that you can't go a day without thinking about. Is coming to work to do a job you enjoy is no longer like a job anymore, is it? But although that doesn't mean you love every bit of it. And Hazel said the common theme was, there's a theme emerging here, isn't there? I'll stick it up again. That is so true. And it's the variety of people that I look around my team in the ARV unit, and there is not a sort of the same similar type of person in there. They are chalk and cheese from each other. One's really dead serious. One's really hilarious. One is he's just like it'll just go off like a little clockwork toy and do stuff. The other one, I just need a little nudge a little bit and they'll be absolutely fine. And it's the variety of stuff. And this is what I think is refreshing about degrees and non-degrees. You need both, don't you?
You do. And what you're talking about is team. And no one person is greater than the other person. We're all special. We're all unique. You all bring something. And you have to take that approach when you're talking about a team. And that's not rank. It's nothing. It is, I can't stand people who think they're better than someone else. I really can't stand that. We are human beings. I remember once being in a pub and the inspector saying, "Call me sir." I thought, why am I calling you sir? I'm in a pub. And I'm talking years ago. And yes, discipline. I'll call old governors sir, ma'am now, because I've got that respect. But come on, don't ever say that you must do that when you're socialising. I think sometimes people have to get their heads out of their backsides.
Definitely.
So tell us about Proceeds of Crime initially, and then a little bit about the Olympics, because you had quite a responsible job there as well. Because people don't really know much. How much money does go back? Is it easily done, or is it a really complicated process?
So if I'll cover that first, and we talked about exams as well, didn't we? So head of Proceeds of Crime, you think I'd be a bit of a mathematician, a bit of an accountant. Well, I took my maths O-level 3 times, and I got 3 grades: D, U, D. So when someone's telling you you're a dud, you kind of think, I get the message. I did think about doing it one more time to get an E, to be a dude, but there was no guarantee. So it's funny how I ended up with that job, and I'll talk about the Olympics in a minute. I delivered everything I had to on the Olympics, and I was heading off to what I would call the elite team in specialist crime in London. So what was SCNO 7, Specialist Crime Operations 7, the home of the flying squad, the projects team, all those really sexy parts of the organisation. And my finished the Olympics, and my commander at the time called me into the office and said, "Nick, I want you to do the Proceeds of Crime role." And when you look at someone and you think, do I have a choice? And those words came out of my mouth. Do I actually have a choice? I'm off to this sexy little area over here, and you want me to run Proceeds of Crime? And he said, "No, you don't really." So it's like, well, there you go. I'll accept that. Thank you very much. Best thing I ever did.
Really?
To take that opportunity to actually try and transform how the Met Police dealt with Proceeds of Crime. Performance uplifted 30% in the 2 years I was there. Wow. Actually seeing people from frontline, and it's all about the front line all the time. Your cops, your traffic cops, your dog handlers, understanding what to do when they seize money. It isn't just the remit of a financial investigator over there. And by making it a specialism, we de-skill people. And that was the problem. So my emphasis was go back to basics, bring it to the front, empower people to do it, and then deliver what we did. And absolutely transformed it. I was told you can have 200 more people. I said, I don't need them. I've never been someone who says I need 100 cops, 250. You look at what you've got and you try and do it the right way, the best way you possibly can. It's not about numbers, it's how you do it. And actually it's how you mobilize. And
you're talking about getting money off of proper wrong-uns, people who have devastated communities through their actions. And have you got facts and figures? Have you got numbers? Have you got, it must be in the millions, surely, the money.
Oh, crikey. So on average now, it's about 160 million a year that is taken off the criminals. But that's, Dave, but that's the tip of the iceberg. You know, we don't do anywhere enough where it comes to proceeds of crime and taking the money off the bad guys. You know,
I can imagine that.
Again, people don't understand. They're scared of it. And it is like when people talk about cyber, cops are scared of cyber because they don't understand it.
Yeah.
But all it is actually is an investigation using a computer. Yeah, a crime's taken place using a computer. If you look at majority of cyber, what people talk about cyber, you know, so, you know, we scare people. We have to, you know, simplify things. And that's what I try to do all the way through my career. Take what is complex, turn it into simple so people understand.
Yeah.
That's
you know,
the key thing.
And that helps my brain.
What percentage of the proceeds of crime went, because most of it goes to the government, doesn't it? But what percentage did the Met get to keep? I can't remember what it is.
So there's different percentages. I don't want to bore your audience, but so for a forfeiture, so when you've had cash and you forfeited it off and you've gone for the courts, 50% goes to the police force or the law enforcement agency, and 50% goes to the government. And then you've got something called confiscation, which is when you've had your conviction, then you go for all the assets. So the houses, you know, it could be the cars, it could be the jewelry, and it could be crypto, Bitcoin. Now that's coming in, and you take that. You have to go for the courts, get a confiscation order, and then you get 18.75% of that.
Right.
So, but that's hard.
Then we got Detective Inspector just messaged below. Is someone I know very well. He's completely on side with all that. Very clever man and things. So it's keeping it simple, stupid. That's the main thing, isn't it? And a lot of it is simpler than you think. It's just we don't do it often enough as well.
You know, and that is it, and that goes back again. So when I looked at suddenly where I ended up, you know, and I said this to Harry, I never thought I'd be one of them. Because they would use long words that I didn't understand, and they were so clever. I wasn't one of them, but actually, when I went through that process, I nailed it. But I stayed true to who I was, and I was lucky at that time, I think, because it was looking at people with more emotional intelligence, and I like to think I've got bucket loads of emotional intelligence over the years.
Did you have policing in your family at all, or you know, what was it?
No. So my family life when I was young was you know, my dad died when I was 2.
Wow.
So we were living in Grantham in Lincolnshire then, and then we moved to Devon where my mum and his family were to be closer. So moved there about when I was 5, and so it was my mum.
Is this your first arrest?
Yeah, well, I'm the little one. I'm the little fat.
Oh, you're the little one.
Yeah, that's my brother beating me up as he did for many, many years, and doing that. So no police in the family, military on my dad's side and my mum's side. Yeah, I love that picture. I'll just explain that picture. I'm the one holding the ball, and if you go in, you will see the screwed up face.
Yeah, right? So, you can.
But this is typical me. I always get caught. Everyone was making funny faces in every picture. The one they published is the one of me. And you know, I ended up getting brought up in the assembly back then and getting told off for making the funny face. And it's just like, really? But you know, so from my direction, and I mentioned this yesterday, but my childhood, having had that, then, you know, lived in a house with mum's boyfriend who was a domestic abuser, you know, had that for probably 8-9 years.
Oh, wow.
As you're growing up. So and people say, is that a reason you joined the police? And I don't know, but probably why I care so much about what goes on and sees that. You know, I was one of those children looking out the window as the police walk away.
Yeah.
And that, when you hear it, and you hear people blame, or you hear cops dismissing domestic abuse as a non-crime or a hassle, which happened over the years, not so much now. Then you challenge it and deal with it. But that also helped teach me to compartmentalize stuff. So you'd go from home, which was a challenging environment, and nothing but respect and love for my mum, to school, of which no one knew what you were going through. So as you've gone through your career, I can very much switch from home to work. It doesn't matter what's going on in my private life. I can then go there because my role is to, be there for other people. I'm a protector. I'm a natural protector, and that's what gives me the greatest of pleasure.
Yeah.
So
well, we do have similarities in our early lives, Nick. That's for sure. I think
you and Dave, similar sort of starts, didn't you, Dave, as well? Really.
I lost my dad at 11 months old, so. And then my mum really struggled, and I certainly don't have a degree. Although I'm quite tempted to get one now. My problem is, I quite like the idea of going for a degree, but in order to do that, I need the support of the job, and the job don't want me to do the degree that I want to do. They want to do a degree they want me to do, which so a bit of an issue there. But
but don't give up, Dave. Do the one you want to do. If I'm honest, I have no interest. I tried once. I talked about. I want to spend time with my kids.
Yeah.
I don't want to spend my time with my head in a book. I've lost so many years. With my children.
Yeah.
And
because people need to realise, people who are literally watching in, and it's basically they got rid of any overtime for any other ranks with a bit of a deal, where they got inspectors and above got slightly more money in their bank account, but they couldn't claim overtime. And of course, so PCs and sergeants can claim overtime or put time on their card. I think you could put time on your card, but basically, if you want to make any rank whatsoever, you basically donate your life to it. And so I can fully see where people like Nick here has, if you added up how much you got paid per hour, it was probably near minimum wage, because you are sort of expected to, aren't you?
Yeah, and I was in the early days of that, and I knew what I was getting into when I went for the inspector rank and losing that, and you just do it. It's because that's your job, and being on call and being called out in the middle of the night time, whichever, and that's the life you live. But in all of that, there's the other side. It's what you're missing, and there's that impact. And I think when you're doing it, you don't see it so much, and it's it's that trail of harm, hurt that you leave behind. So I've got 5 kids, 2 marriages, just separated from number 2. And it's that impact that has on you, and what you cause. And when your children said you're never here, that's
it's hard.
That hurts. And it's true.
Someone's being nice about you, Nick, saying that you were their temporary commander, and they said you were a really nice bloke, which is nice to hear, because I guess you don't always get to hear that. But I think that's, even from my level, my wife and I, we work opposites to try and make sure the house keeps running. And you're either a single parent father family or a single parent mother family in this house. So when we do come together, it's really important, and we tend to insist on things like sitting around a table and actually having a chat. And it is hard, isn't it? I mean,
it is. And I used to get told as soon as my phone went, I changed. You go from being dad, husband into, and I said, no, that doesn't happen. But then you realise, and when I left, I was shattered.
Yeah,
absolutely shattered.
Because you were a tactical farms commander as well, which for everyone listening as well. So I was operational farms commander. I was basically team leader in a group, and and I was also a firearms tactics advisor. And when I was in that role, I would then work alongside a Nick Downing, and they were the ones who were going to get it massively in the neck if there was a shooting or so and so. It's massive responsibility, and it shows it's particularly for people who are very practically minded, can think and make good decisions, and sometimes decisions have to be made very quickly and have a conviction of their decisions, but you did that, Nick, so that must have been quite an interesting time of your life, especially because at home, no doubt you were rung at home quite a lot with that, weren't you, with firearms incidents? Or
strategic firearms commander, also kidnap, senior
strategic firearms commander as well.
So I did all of those different elements, but there's some brilliant people in policing, and when that phone goes, you hear a name. So I'd hear someone like Harry's on the phone, right? Okay, well, I know Harry, and I know he's going to give me the best advice.
It'll be like that. It'll be like,
but
hi, all right.
Harry, can I just say we all do that when we know that you're.
Yeah. I get it when I get a message from him. For God's sake, put that down. I'll look at that tomorrow. But you are reliant on those people, but you're also reliant on your experience. And I mentioned to Harry yesterday, and it's not on any of my profiles, but I was a silver, as we called it then, on a fatal police shooting back in 2004. Now, very few people have done that or been involved in that, and that was my job. I was a detective inspector at Croydon. It was a pre-planned firearms op, and the guy got shot, and nothing. And I was there the night before till about 2:00 in the morning, just making sure everything was ready. It was my job, but nothing ever prepared me. The fact that he went for the gun in the sock where all the intelligence was, and he got shot. And I'll be honest, when I finally got back to the police station, I just was in floods of tears, because you can plan and you can prepare, but nothing can prepare you for that.
No.
All right. And it was, again, one of the most challenging times that you think, and I still think about that now when it's 16 years ago.
You when you were doing all the planning, and the officers when they were out dealing with it, none of you woke up that day thinking, we're going to kill someone today. That was the last thing you wanted to happen, and I think that's
exactly.
And the thing with Nick, now again, taken from experience because I did a lot of post-incident procedure stuff. It was like a deputy PIP, where they call it, post-incident procedure. So I did the courses, and I worked with the officers, and I was actually part of one of those, not with a shooting, but somebody who jumped off a bridge in front of me. But everyone, Nick will know, like, this is all going, this is fine, okay, got everything, got all my contingencies, I've got all the resources I need, am I looking for, this could be dragging on, I've got other resources coming in, okay, and you're checking with you, and each time you're spinning that wheel, making sure, well, what's the information now, meaning if everything's changed, do my actions change, is this still proportionate, have we got it right, and then bang, right, and then everyone looks at you, Nick, ding, and you're like, and then that every decision you make will be meticulously ripped apart, and then you'll also be drip fed the negative press. The family, no doubt, I can't speak for this particular case, and I'm not going to, but the family could be someone not always the nicest of people we deal with, and so they are in the press, and the press are picking up on that. And I've spoken to officers where they said, you start believing the drip feed, that you are a murderer, that you gave no other choice, and things like this. And that can happen years, can't it, Nick? It's incredibly stressful.
Yeah, absolutely. And that whole experience, so the PIM procedure, the PIP procedure as it was there for the firearms, it was there for the surveillance team. But because I was a local DI and my team, it wasn't there. So they got all taken away to nice areas with support. I was left, I was there on the scene, on my mobile, suddenly having a line through to professional standards and the IOPC saying what's happened. You know, I was on scene for probably 2-3 hours before someone came and relieved me. So you do that, and you know, part of that was the debrief. I said, well, we need PIN. We need PIT for local people, and thank God now they're included. But you know,
it has improved a lot, yeah.
Oh, yeah, and absolutely. But
and the TAs are considered that. They are too. Here's a question from Hazel. Any tips on dealing with pressure at work? How do you all deal with it? Well, I could say it probably didn't help. You already conceded that you had you've had 2 divorces, that side of things, and that's quite common in policing. And it's that, how did you deal with it? Especially the higher you get, I think the more lonely you can be if I've got a group of people.
Yeah, so in some of my leadership talks, I talk about the loneliness of leadership. Right. You know, and senior officers get a lot of bad press. But just remember, everyone, they're human. You know, you have these pressures going on, and how you cope, and who do you have to talk to? And those people are few and far between. So how do you deal with it? Well, one thing for me was always fitness. You know, the best time where I could clear my brain and mind was going for a run. You know, that health and fitness, healthy body, healthy mind. It's really, really so important. You also need to have that circle of critical friends who that person, and I've acted in that capacity for many people, say, call me in the dead of the night when you're there and you're lonely and something's going on, call me. And then, you know, you need those people you can trust, not people, oh, crikey, this has happened, go someone else. Or someone can say, well, why didn't you do? You've got to have someone to listen to you. And Scotty's just put something up there, hasn't he? Confident outsider, absolutely. Yep. You know, people that you can who don't know the intricacies, and they will just listen. Yeah, or maybe give you that different perspective. So that network, don't keep it in. And you know, we had Men's Health yesterday, didn't we? Or Men's International Men's Day, and you know, we are awful, and I've been awful over the years. Great getting other people to talk to me, but me talking to other people, that comes from compartmentalizing. I'm there to look after you, you know. But it's those sort of things, but put things in perspective as well. Yeah, I remember going for my senior command assessment centre. So what's called PNAC, Senior Police National Assessment Centre, and I saw people, and so this is for ACPO, NPCC, and some of the candidates there, they were so stressed about stuff, and I remember going for my final interview, and I'm getting a phone call. I think, oh, it says wife, and that's nice. A little bit of a pep talk on the way. Took the earphones out, and it's my daughter, basically screaming. She's had an argument with her mum, and I just thought at that point, I just smiled, because that put it in perspective. No one was dying when I was going into an assessment centre. You know, actually, then be you and be true, and that's what's really, really important. Don't try and be someone else, and so many people try to be someone else. You know, because you are special, and remember that when you go for these things.
Harry's very.
I'm more special than most. I'm more special than most, I know. But it took me a long time to realise that, because, you do try to play up for the stereotype that you think you should be. And actually, I say, people say, what's your advice when you go for interviews and things? I said, my advice is to make the best out of your own particular strengths, because if I used your strengths, I'd be crap. And believe me, if you use my strengths, you might be absolute crap. Because mine is more of a, is a less academic and more getting a bunch of people together to actually hopefully enjoy doing what they do. Our section used to be the happiest, smiliest section, because they knew I I expected them to work bloody hard, but they knew I had their back, and they knew I was the sort of, come on, chaps, tally ho, let's go, just do it, you know.
Yeah.
And it was that sort of enthusiasm, because I wanted to enjoy work, you know. Some people can be very depressing about it, but okay, Olympics. What was your role there?
So I was the strategic lead for organised crime for London 2012, basically. So, but my work started in 2009, leading up to 2012, helping write the business case, being part of that command team, because it's not just around the investigation. For me, it's around preventing. And actually putting things in place early on and disrupting before the games was so important. So we had a big lead in. I ran a team called Podium, Operation Podium. It was still a national remit, even though we had international reach. Lots of scrutiny leading up to the games. We did lots of disruption. I traveled around the country doing different sporting events to learn. One of the biggest issues was tickets. So we had the Premier League, Formula One around the table, Live Nation, learning from people. And it just shows you can't do things yourself. You have to learn and have that humility to learn from others. And I remember I sat down this pool of all these ticketing gurus from different venues, and I said, well, tell me who hurts you the most. So they all gave me a list. I cross-referenced that list. There was my targets, because if they were doing a music venue, they were doing a sports venue. You then overlaid that with international. So I had my targets to go after before the games even started.
Right.
And God, I like to think I'm a nice bloke, but I'm a hard-nosed cop. And if I've got a job to do, I'm going to do that job and deliver. And I wrote letters to every single one of them and said, please, this is the situation. Don't come anywhere near London 2012. We will find you. I remember being at Cardiff doing the rugby game, and one of them showed us the letter as we were arresting him. So, that was the situation. So they knew, and when they tried, we were there. But I had a dual role when it actually came to the game. So I was running Podium. So we had boots on the ground, all different venues, doing all that work. Plus I was bronze crime. So I was working 12-hour shifts, 4 days on in the situation ops room. Then I was going off to do Podium and getting a couple of hours kit here and there. To say it half killed me, and I've never worked so hard, but I was passionate about that. Crime wasn't the story of London 2012, which was my brief.
And it could have so easily have been. But there's another message from Tracy, and that summed it up, wasn't it? It was a real time to be proud, but the work and like you say, it's just getting the FA and the Formula One. Did you get any free tickets for Formula One? If you did, you've got any contacts? That's great. Because it was, and that one, you might as well, they've spent years learning, so you might as well nick their best bits.
Exactly, and we delivered it, you see. Not one counterfeit ticket at London, not one, at any venue across the country. All right, so no big ticket scams, because we dealt with them all before. Not scams. We dealt with the people. I was pilloried in the press, by one company, because I named and shamed. I went after them, hook, line, and sinker, and that's what we did, and it was great. But there's also that impact, and it's great kudos. But then I went home after 6 weeks, and my 18-month-old daughter ran away from me because she hadn't seen me for 6 weeks. And then you actually feel you go from being, I'm here, and then you go back, and actually you feel that, and we all have to remember, those around us and the impact, and that's so important. As you think you're big jolly big bananas or whichever because you've done this. No, there's a massive impact. But great time.
Were you knackered there? Is that why you're not looking too impressed with Boris there?
Well, he was. You know, I love Boris. Sorry, I'm not politically, but just as
oh no, I'll tell you now. I love people who are just themselves and they bumble their way through the political speak that they were meant to do. I've been very disappointed, I must admit, but bring back the characters. Fantastic.
But the lift, so he was both London Mayor and my local MP when I was Borough Commander at Hillingdon. And he would come and visit and we'd have our meetings and it was great. You know, first name terms, he'd walk round and the lift he gave those officers and staff, you know, you can't, you know, if you could bottle that, and all the team doing selfies with him and all the rest, and he'd do it, and he gave him the time and effort. So for me, making my teams feel better about themselves, then great. And he'd listen, but an extremely bright man. Don't believe the buffoon potentially that he portrays to be.
No, I'm definitely more of a favour, I must admit. But as I say, politics is, it's all very messy in this day and age. Dave's here, so we can't talk about it too much. What about, tell us very quickly about this one as well now. That's quite a meet, isn't it? Yeah. He's going to be legendary for, he's amazing.
Yeah, so this was 100 years of Scotland Yard, and he'd done a documentary. And this was a little function at the yard. And you see there's a guy behind. There was a big queue from so many of us to just spend a moment with Trevor McDonald, who is a gentleman, a legend, and such a privilege to have that photo and be in his company. You know, when you look at people, such class. Class. Oh, my Devon accent comes out there, but when I say class.
But, right.
No, exactly. You live in Hearts, don't you? Yeah, exactly. That.
I'm a South London boys is probably something completely different. Class.
There probably is, but a great man and great experience to have.
So I mean, we could do a whole talk on this, but I think you probably hit the nail on the head. You know, when you're in your senior ranks and in a big organisation like the Met, and even Kent when you went to, was it Kent? Kent?
Yeah, yes. Kent and Essex. I covered both.
You've got thousands of people underneath you and you need to keep them motivated. But I think you hit the nail on the head when you said you were passionate. I know you talked about the effect it had on home life, but I think when you're passionate, that really rubs off on people. Enthusiasm is great, but we all know, come after Christmas, we all talk about going on a diet and we're enthusiastic for it. But by mid-January, enthusiasm has gone. But passion is something that lives with you forever. And I think that is what shines. Whenever I talk about you to anybody who's had contact with you, they talk about the passion. They talk about you, the man. And they found it addictive to work for you. And I do think that there's something massive in having passion for something. And that's how you can keep people you're working with and who are working for you motivated.
And that's great to hear, and you care. It's passion and you care, and and that's what's important. Don't get me wrong, I've made mistakes, and there's plenty of people who won't like me.
That looks scary.
That's what people say. I like that.
If I'm sat outside your office waiting for a bollocking, and I walk in and you're there like that. I'm sorry, I'm giving my resignation in. I won't. Jesus.
Not fucking two smoking barrels pose, that is.
Mate, go on, Dave.
You had something to do with the puppies coming on to Britain's Got Talent. Was that you? Did you have something to do with that?
Yeah, so I did the connections for, because obviously Zeb, who, so Zeb was a PC at Kingston, and I got to know Zeb when I was a commander covering that area. And he put a call in, and I did the introductions to get your lovely little puppies.
There you go. Anybody who hasn't seen it, it's on YouTube. You can have a look. But we had 6 beautiful puppies from, I think we had Kent and Sussex and Surrey come on Britain's Got Talent. There is no doubt in my mind that those puppies got us through to the final. So,
well, it wasn't a magic, was it?
But isn't that, Dave? Isn't it strange because you get some bosses who would have said, "Oh no, straight away." But
we had plenty of that. And Nick went, "I see no harm. I think it's going to do something good, and it'll put the police in a good light." And he was all for it. And I think you definitely have to have bosses like that, otherwise.
Yeah,
it's very stiff and stagnant, doesn't it?
Yeah,
I think you've got to have people who aren't scared of their own shadow.
Yeah,
is what I would say, and look at it and take the risk. We need to take risks, and actually, you what's the harm that could happen? And we got to support people. Really got to support people.
Oh, that's good. I haven't actually seen this, but I know what they mean. Peaky Blinders, is it for you? Where they put leaky blinders, are they?
Yeah.
Well, I think that's because I'm old and have to go for a wee in the night.
Anyway, we've had loads of tips about having not to have a wee by leaving the tent. You have some cat litter with a bag, and you do it like that. But anyway, but I've got to say, and we haven't even talked about when you retired and your job there as well, my friends. So, but we're that time, and I think we need to have you. A few months down the line, would be lovely to have you back again. Yeah, look.
Blinders. You need to get
that is.
I need the hat.
Yeah, do it again, definitely.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Oh, and one thing, people can. Where is it? Very, very quick. There we go. This is what we want. There you go. You can follow Nick Downing SCD on Twitter. So a very active Twitter account. So you can follow him on Twitter. Dave and I, we can.
His Twitter, so we haven't even started. His Twitter account, Nick's Twitter account, when he was in the police, absolutely brilliant. So
he was right from the start.
Yeah,
bloody brilliant. I remember, and the other thing he said, I feel a bit bad because I'm coming onto your Frontline Chat, and you haven't got one of these. But so Christmas is coming and everything. But Nick, you need to get yourself sorted. You're not doing a degree for Christ's sake, so you might as well do something.
Hang on. There you go. Hang on.
Finn. Oh God, poor Finn.
Sorry, I've got John Sutherland as well.
Yeah, so have I. So have I. And I see on Amazon it's always John Sutherland's and mine together. As you can buy this as a package. Look at that. There's Finn. He's distracting us now. Look, there you go.
He brings the dog out, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I love you. Just because the detective doesn't love you, I love you. It's all right.
He's just so. But no, Nick's is not signed, I don't think. So is it, Nick?
No, it's not.
No. See, that devalues it if we sign it. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it. And I think that's it. That's our time. It's gone. And we've just got to say thank you so much for joining us. We've had a really good high hit rate here today. Nick, you've been really popular. Everyone have a good time. Watch your recorded England match with Ireland on Amazon if that's what you can do. But otherwise, we'll see you next week sometime. All right. Have a good one.
Thanks for having me. Cheers.
Wait.